Reaction to what the guys were just talking about, and specifically, you know, the idea that Ottawa and Calgary, you're on watch, sort of a thinly veiled undercurrent here is, if there's not a new rink, maybe there's not going to be a team.
Well, they're on notice if, in fact, the owners decide to sell. I mean, you don't just move a team because you don't get a new rink. I mean, it's, okay, does Melnyk, is he going to sell the team to a group in Houston? Is the group in Calgary going to sell to the group in Houston? Well, then Bettman decides about relocation. But to talk about Ottawa and Calgary when you've got Florida, Carolina, and Phoenix that are essentially disasters as far as attendance, I don't get this. I mean, I understand there's a battle going on, and people are using this to try to get tax dollars to get a new building in both markets. I get that. I get the politics. But when you start threatening to leave these markets, I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. But there is a need to have a serious look at these 3 U.S. markets that we've been talking about for 10 years, and nothing has happened. If you're going to move somebody to Houston, maybe move Arizona to Houston.
Were they talking about it when you were going to GM's meetings and Board of Governors meetings with Columbus?
Well, I mean, it's been talked about forever. I mean, they haven't made a profit 1 year in Phoenix since they moved there. I mean, I think it's time to say, cut the talk on Calgary and Ottawa, and let's deal with the mess that is going on south of the border.
One of the other ideas that Kyle and CJ were just talking about as well, the idea of a 1-minute power play in overtime, that 2 minutes takes up too much of that 5 minutes of OT, and shaving it down to a minute might be a little more palatable for GMs. Your thoughts?
Yeah, 10 years ago, Brian Burke brought that up in a GM meeting, and we beat it to death in the meeting. And you know, I mean, at the end of it, we decided, no, we're not going to do that. If that happens, what are we going to also do? No forward passes in the game, and you know, and no curved blades, and no. I mean, I don't know. We can tinker all we want, and hey, maybe it makes sense, but it was discussed 10 years ago.
The idea being that a 2-minute minor and a 5-minute OT is almost a death sentence for a team.
I didn't say it was a bad idea, but you know,
it has been talked about for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about pending suspensions, and let's talk with Philadelphia. Defenseman Radko Gudas has been offered an in-person hearing for slashing Winnipeg's Matthew Perreault. Ouch. Last night, right there, neither a time nor date has been announced when said hearing will occur. 5 in a game for Gudas on that play. Meanwhile, Matthew Tkachuk did have his hearing for unsportsmanlike conduct spearing somehow. His actions Wednesday against the Detroit Red Wings. That concluded just around 4:30 Eastern this afternoon. And lost in all of this, Luke Witkowski gets a 10-game suspension, and according to Helena St. James, had this quote about the suspension and coming off the bench onto the ice. "It's unfortunate. I didn't know that was a rule. Lesson learned. Nobody wants to sit out 10 games. I want to get to Tkachuk, but how many players do you think know all the rules?
How many GMs know all the rules? How many coaches know all the rules?
How many broadcasters know all the rules?
Exactly. We have the book, and we delve into it on a regular basis.
Actually, Kelly Rudy reads it front to back every season. Sean Horkoff would read it as well, but he may be a freak. Matthew Tkachuk, your thoughts on what happens here with someone who's been on the Department of Player Safety radar for a while?
Yeah, you know, this is an unfortunate situation because it was a little jab here. It wasn't a spear, to say the least, but the player had left the playing surface. He was an emotionally charged. I didn't like it. I suspect he's going to get, well, is he going to get a couple of games? I would think he might get a couple of games for inciting this situation and continuing it. So that's what I see happening. We should know shortly because he plays tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So either he's going to get a fine or he's going to get suspended, and it should come out anytime.
You know, interesting with the Gudas suspension is fast. I want to get to a comparable here in a second, but Radko Gudas, and we watched it last night, Doug, as we're working the game here, and we're saying to ourselves, is it a deliberate slash? Is he bracing himself? It's a scrum. He's coming up. He's coming down. What do you do with this one? It's in person, so they could be hunting 5 games or more, and he has 2 priors.
Well, when your stick is caught up and you start to pull back on your stick, and it's a reaction. Do I think he intentionally meant to hurt the guy? Probably not, but it was vicious, and you can't have that. And I think, you know, that the league is going to come down on this guy hard. He's going to get at least 5, and he's going to get maybe double digits. The situation is he has been in trouble too many times. Yeah. He's been on the edge for a long time, and when the league has an opportunity, they will not look at this very well.
Always have to look at comparables through all this, and there's one that we saw last season, the game between the Detroit Red Wings and the Minnesota Wild. It's Gustav Nyquist on Jared Spurgeon. Now, this was a 6-game suspension for the Detroit Red Wings. Ouch. Forward.
Now, this one was ruled that it was sort of a hockey play, and I'm thinking, that's a hockey play? But they looked, when they broke it down, they thought, okay, maybe it wasn't really intentional, but he got 6 games. If he gets 6 for that, and Gudas has a history, Nyquist had no history, this could be double digits.
You think it could be 10 or more?
I think it could. I mean, I was saying 5 today at noon, but then when I add the prior history, I think it may get to double digits.
So it'll be a fascinating one to allow. Stay tuned for an announcement on that one when the hearing is with Radko Gudas in the Department of Player Safety. Maple Leafs today announcing that the hockey club has agreed to terms with forward Josh Levo. It is a 1-year extension worth $925,000, so he will not be a free agent in the offseason. Auston Matthews skated again today. However, he will be a game-time decision for the Maple Leafs Saturday as they face off against the Montreal Canadiens. Here's his coach, Mike Babcock.
I guess the medical people look at him today and tomorrow, and then they'll decide probably after the morning skate tomorrow, see where he's at and go from there.
Probably game time. I mean, still feeling better each day, but you know, I felt like before I got injured, I was playing at a pretty high level, so it's always frustrating when you come back and you know, obviously you're not going to be there right away. So yeah, I mean, trying to get a feel for everything each and every day, and just trying to get better.